You know, I recognized you just as soon as you came in, though I haven't seen you since that night at the casino at Palm Beach. Perhaps you don't remember an old woman like me. Are you playing the tables much here at Monte?
No, I'm afraid that sort of thing ceased to amuse me years ago.
If you love listening to this show, please consider giving a rating and a review on Amazon Alexa or wherever you listen. We want to continue bringing you this amazing content, and part of our ability to do that means that we need a big audience. Now, it may not seem like much, but rating and reviewing the show will help more people find us, just like how you found this show. Simply on any podcast platform, search for a show, scroll down to the bottom, and push 5 stars. It's that easy. Thanks for supporting the show. Today, I'm joined by Devendra Chandani, who is a co-founder at Intello Labs. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Scott. Hello, everybody.
All right. So what is Intello Labs, and how are you digitizing produce quality?
Right. To begin with, I think if we understand food is probably the oldest industry known to mankind, right? We've been searching for food, hunting for food, and growing food since time immortal. And there's not a lot of innovation or technology usage which has happened on the food side, and especially when you look at the quality side, right? On one side, we say that close to 30% of food that we produce is going to waste. On the other side, we have growers all across the globe who are not getting the right price for their produce. And on the third side, you have the customers. I mean, there are multiple reports, right, from McKinsey to YouGov surveys, which say that 70% of the customers are willing to pay higher price for quality. They all are conscious about the quality of food they consume, but that quality is not available to them. So it's a complex problem, and it's all because the quality processes in this food supply chain are very manual and subjective. Right. So even when it's large organizations, there's a quality inspector who would visually look at the produce and then say it's good or bad. So a lot of subjectivity can come in, right? And many a times, a lot of these parameters are not possible to measure visually. So that's where Intello Labs come in. And what we say is we are digitizing the whole quality process by providing means to the quality inspector to carry out those inspections using images, and then record those inspections, and then convert those inspections into a usable data format, which can be used by the organizations to find out trends and insight. Our core product is Intello Track, wherein the quality inspector can click an image, and our AI-based software would read those images and then give the quality of the sample from those images. For example, if you click a picture of a box of strawberries, our software would tell you that in this box there are about 20 strawberries. 18 of them are good, one of them has got a white shoulder, and then there's another one which has got a mold on it. So overall, this should not be consumed because it's got mold in it, or whatever other quality parameters. Accordingly, it would give you those results. So that's what we do. And then by bringing in AI and cloud-based workflow, we are digitizing the whole quality process.
All right. So in terms of just going into a little bit more depth around IntelliSort, is that it is able to, again, I think you have a couple of products, but on the sort side, it's able to sort multiple produce that's being processed on a conveyor belt. And of course, these conveyor belts are specially designed so that it's actually allowing for rotation. So the computer vision algorithms are essentially grading how fresh certain produce is based on color, size, visual defects, and other dimensions, right?
Absolutely.
Can you go into a little bit more depth around, so for any given system, what kind of number of cameras are we talking about? And also, how many number of simultaneous assessment of those produce units can the system actually handle? And last question is the actual speed at which you can actually, do these concurrent algorithm and detection. You may also like our quarterly Ask Your Perkins event that brings some of the most notable experts and category-leading startups in their area of sustainability and human survival on Earth and in space.
To register, visit astorperkins.com/events.
So essentially, if I go a little bit more detail into Intello sort, it's a single machine. That's one machine which can sort multiple different products. And this is like the first time you can have one machine which can sort potatoes and tomatoes and onions together, right? And there are specific sorters, but there's no machine which can sort a mix of the same machine can sort different products. And that's because what we've done is we've all our models we've put together into a single place and customized them so that they can work across. And it has got it has got about close to 12 different cameras which is taking continuous pictures across from different angles. And then and like you said, we rotate each piece and then take close to about 380 images of each particular piece of potato or tomato or onion or whatever is passing through, stitch those images together, and then give the result for that particular piece, saying this piece is good or this piece has got defect, it does not fit in the size, it does not fit in the color criteria. And then accordingly the machine would remove that particular piece out or let it pass through as acceptable produce. And the point to note here is that this is a single machine, single set of piece which can grade on the basis of size, on the basis of colors, on the basis of visual defects. And not only that, you could customize it, saying that, okay, today I want to sort basis size plus sprouting in potatoes. I only want to remove the sprouted potatoes. Or you could say that, okay, this particular lot I want to run basis the color, and I want to run basis the decay in the potatoes or the greening in the potatoes. So you can actually select and configure on basis what parameters you want to run that sorting onto. In terms of speed, it can work on smaller operations from about 5 ton per hour to up to 20, 25, 30 tons per hour kind of operations also.
So let's talk about accuracy. So when it's actually, producing more or assessing at the higher levels of speed in terms of tonnage, for example, what's the kind of expected accuracy that your customers can expect?
Right. So accuracy of any sorting machine is always a very dicey situation to look at it, because what do you compare it with? Do you compare it with the manual operations which are running at the same speed, or you do compare it with the lab conditions, or you do compare it with the condition where you're looking, where you're spending all the time on each of those produce? So it becomes really difficult to quantify that kind of accuracy levels. But what we've seen is we quantify our accuracy levels into two different buckets. One is of all the good produce, how much of if there are 100 good potatoes, are how many of them are we able to catch, and if there are 100 bad potatoes, how many of those are we able to remove? Right, it's a classic case of true positives and false negatives that we want to reduce in the whole piece. And in across both the cases, what we've seen is that we are able to ensure that out of 199 good potatoes are marked as good, and out of 100 bad potatoes, we are able to catch up to like 96 to 97 bad potatoes. So that's how we would define our accuracy levels.
Now, in addition to actually looking for defects, you guys are also doing sorting in the sense of sizes, so classification of, let's say, certain millimeters, or whatever that size classification is. How are you guys doing that, and then how do you actually collaborate with the actual machine or the equipment providers? Did you get the question?
I didn't follow you. You sort of froze in between.
Okay, so the question, I'm just going to make a note here. The question was that hold on one second.
You're talking about the size.
Yeah. So 1 second here. So the question was really oriented around not only looking for defects, but also the ability to actually sort by size or some other, let's say, defining classification that the customer has provided. And how do you work with those that are actually producing or developing the machinery to design that in such a way that it works with the assembly line or the inspection line?
Right. So essentially, the whole sorter product which we have is being designed by us only, and it is being manufactured by our team. Right. So it's been completely designed right from conceptualization stage and the software and the hardware by our teams internally. And it's being produced by us only. So that's something which we're doing inline. And how that works is essentially once we've identified is a 3-step process. The first step is identification of individual pieces. So when you have got 20 tons of potato going through the line, we identify each and individual potato, mark them, and then when we are capturing images across different cameras, we make sure we're stitching the right potato together. And then the second stage is identification of their visual parameters, which is in terms of the size, in terms of color, in terms of there any defects, any features that we see, marks that we see, and then classifying them into natural occurring pieces. You could have calyx on strawberries, you could have tips on tomatoes, you could have natural cracks on potatoes, which are just up and down of the surface, right? And then removing those naturally occurring harmless kind of features, and then keeping only the defects uh, or the features which may impact your sorting process. And then the third stage is the severity estimation, wherein we look at if it's a cut, how big is the cut? If it's a green tomato, what's the area of the green? And then basis the definition set by the customer, it is finally marked as should it be removed or should it be kept into the system. And then as it goes ahead, there are mechanical arms, and there is a sorting system which removes that particular piece away.
Understood. Can you talk a little bit about, in the case of, let's say, leafy vegetables, so take kale as an example.
I hope that answers the question.
Yes. Okay. Are you able to hear me? Because it looks like there's some lagging issues.
Right. Yeah, I'm getting some issues.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if it's me or on your side. So let me try and repeat the question again. So my question is, for some vegetables, it's difficult to do a full 360 inspection. So let's say kale, for instance. How are you able to inspect, the top and the bottom side in such a way that you will get a holistic view of the produce?
Right. So I think leafy greens, especially when we're talking of kale and leafy greens, maybe spinach and all, is something which we've not done as of yet. So that's something which we are developing for now, right? But in terms of some of the other vegetables, for example, when we are looking at potatoes, you could have defects anywhere. When we are looking at carrots, the cut in the carrots could be on the top side or at the bottom side. So the hardware which we make has got rollers embedded in it, which rotate the whole produce across its axis, so that we are able to see the complete 360-degree view of the fresh produce.
So you mentioned that certain leafy vegetables you guys are not accounting for just yet. Can you talk about how you guys are training your algorithms in such a way that you could start to increase the types of vegetables as well as the fruits in terms of varieties?
Right. So the training process is I think the whole heart of any artificial intelligence based system, right? It depends on the quality of the data. It depends on the skill of the team, and then it also depends on the rigor of the process, right? So it's based on all these three different factors. So we've collaborated with various different large organizations across the globe. We've collaborated with the research institutes across the globe, and we've got our teams on ground. So these are the three different mediums from where we get our basic training data for, right? So our teams go on and they keep on clicking images across, and at any time are handling close to like about 500,000 images every day. Is that what we are gathering and handling on any given day? And then once we have those images, then we've got our teams in-house which prepare that data for training, right, and mark out various features and defects, which is then fed into our learning systems. We've got auto machine learning platform which we've developed for our usage, wherein a large set of training is being done by the machine itself. So the machine is training itself to identify various features, and then wherever there are issues in terms of accuracies or what we call as sister defects, where two defects may look very close by, that's where our machine learning team comes in. That's where our quality experts come in, and then we say that, okay, how can that particular issue be resolved, right? So it's a process which can take anywhere between 4 weeks to 8 weeks, depending upon the commodity and the kind of defects which we have to work with.
Now, in your category, we are, of course, seeing other startups that's also competing, and they are taking different approaches. I mean, it's still computer vision focused, but then they have a more of a robotic component to it. So almost like a pick and place. So in addition to handling the visual inspection perspective, it's able to actually pick up, sort, and place. How are you different, and what are the areas that you guys are looking to compete relative to your competitors in this area?
Don't forget to visit astroperkins.com to register for our next quarterly events. Past and current speakers include Julianne Hough, actress, dancer, and winner of Dancing with the Stars, Damian Vaughn, former NFL player, Neil Gregory, Chief Thought Leadership Officer at the IFC World Bank, and many more. To register, visit astroperkins.com and click on Events.
Right. So, like I said, the heart of any AI engine is the data and the robustness of the model. Right. So, when we compare Intello Labs with any other startups or any other organizations working in this space, the amount of data which we have gathered over the last 4 years is massive. Right. We've close to like 500 million, 500, we've close to 50 million images today, which we've created for various produce, right? And we are adding 500,000 every day continuously. And to top to that, we've got quality experts who help us out creating that. And then the biggest proof of difference lies in the commercialization of the models. I think the number of different commodities which we've been able to commercialize across the globe itself speaks about how advanced and robust our models are. Having said that, the main guiding principle for all our product has been that it has to be cost effective, scalable kind of a product. That's why you would see a lot of our clients are using the same set of artificial intelligence based models using handphones also, right? And when you're using handphones, lots of external variations come in. The external lighting comes in, the angle of the handphone comes in, the different varieties and the cameras used in the handphones come in. And our models are robust enough. Our technology is advanced to make sure that all these external variations are removed away, and we are able to differentiate between the glare on the strawberry versus bruising on the strawberry versus shadows on the strawberry, because our models are developed with keeping in mind that they would be used in with external variations coming in, as well as they are robust enough to identify those differences.
Understood. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the actual statement that was made earlier, which is that you guys are helping to reduce food waste. So what happens to the sorted produce that's indicated as rejected?
Right. So essentially, what when we say we are working on reducing the fresh produce, the first step comes in is that we are matching the food produced to the requirements. I mean, the simplest of the example is that if you are a retailer, you would want to have tomatoes which are 70% or 80% red and they are not fully ripe, because the moment you start getting ripe potatoes or overripe tomatoes, and they are going to spend 3 to 5 days on your shelf, they are going to start becoming soft, and then they have to throw them off. Right. So essentially, each step of the food supply chain, there is a different set of quality which is required. The quality at the time of plucking or harvest is very different from quality when it reaches packing, and it's very different from quality when it reaches the shelf versus quality at which it is consumed, in terms of ripeness, in terms of color, in terms of various defects which would be there. Right. So what we are doing is, what we say is, we are matching the quality requirements to the need with the help of AI, which helps reduce the wastage. Now, a simple example is, if we are able to direct all the overripe tomatoes towards the ketchup manufacturer, or all the soft grapes towards the juicing company, then that is saving a lot of these grapes which would have been anyways thrown out by a retailer or a packing organization. So that's how the whole food loss prevention comes into the place. Another key area is that a lot of organizations have policies where they would throw out produce which does not look good, but it is healthy to consume. There's not an issue with it, right? So we're helping organizations to train people and train their inspectors so that they're able to identify those pieces, and they're not throwing out produce, but they're actually able to salvage that. So that's how this whole food loss things comes into the place. And whatever's and you have to realize that food is such an industry where whatever is one person's waste could actually be an input for another organization, right? Simple example being, if you know, there's a spice called cardamom in India, which is a small spice, and then what happens is even the dust which is swept off from the floors is used to make incense sticks, and it's used in perfume industry because that gives off a very sweet smelling smell, right? So it's not about wasting the food, but it's about putting the right quality of food to the right usage.
Again, I think really what happens to the reject is up to the policy of the manufacturers or the distributor of these produce. So really, what you're saying is you guys are really trying to meet the requirements of your customer, but what happens to the rejected or the ugly fruits or vegetables is not within your scope.
Right. In our scope is to reduce that percentage of reject for the organization. So as the percentage of reject reduces for the organization, that waste is going to reduce.
Right, understood. Now, the real benefit of your solution is the ability to lower costs. It's an operational expenditure reduction strategy. So, can you talk about some of your customers and how they're using your technology to reduce whether it's headcount or error rate, and at some point fulfillment rate, in terms of final product, whether it's ketchup or something else?
Right. So essentially, our product is being used, like you said, it's being used by the quality inspectors to improve their accuracy of the assessments. It's being used to scale up the whole quality operations and bring in that remove that subjectivity and bring in objectivity into the whole process. And then across, what we've seen is that across the whole supply chain, there are various use cases where our clients have benefited. For example, for e-commerce operations, we've helped them ensure that the quality which goes out to the customer is great. It is matching the customer expectations, and any bad pieces are being removed before they are being shipped out to the customers. So in such cases, we've seen that the loss to the returns or the complaints to the e-commerce organizations are reducing. Same way for trading organizations in the food area, where they buy in bulk from various different growers, into different lots, and then send it to either restaurants or sell it to retailers, or selling it out to other organizations. We've seen the rejections by the customers coming down by up to 40% in such cases, because that's the customers getting the right set of produce. And then what you have to realize is that every time there's a customer rejection, that produce simply becomes unusable, because you've already sent it to the customer is rejecting it, and it's coming back. So it spent a lot of time in the transit, whereas it should have been utilized. So that's how customers get that benefit, because their rejections are coming down. They're not sending sub-quality material to their clients or their customers, and then the transport cost is waste. And above all, they're able to use quality as a brand building exercise, saying that the quality which we'll send out would be perfect for you.
Yeah, so using that as an example, let's take the example of a fulfillment center versus, let's say, grocery store, where you have a delivery agent that's picking up produce. In a fulfillment center, it's very feasible to place some of these scanning machines as it gets fulfilled and packaged and basketed. In the case of a delivery situation where you have people that are picking up actual produce from, let's say, Whole Foods or other grocery stores, how can your solution be used in such a way so that the end product that gets delivered to the customer is the best? Because again, I personally experienced where delivery services will actually bring back fresh produce, and that turns out to be not fresh at all.
Right. Essentially, absolutely. So there are two different ways with which we are solving this particular problem for delivery and e-commerce players. One is, a lot of delivery players are moving to micro fulfillment centers, or they're moving into what is called as dark store concepts, right? Wherein these are smaller set of areas where you've got all this fresh produce, and these are not the areas where a walk-in customer would come, and these are specifically set for their teams to pick up produce from. So there we've got a set of cameras which are monitoring these dark stores or micro fulfillment centers continuously, and then providing alerts to the teams to remove the defective pieces away, so that the bins from where the delivery person is picking up from always remains fresh, and irrespective of the produce they pick up, they are getting the right quality. So that's one way for where using the dark stores and micro fulfillment centers, we are able to we are able to help control the quality and keeping it fresh. The other way is that this is integrated into the handphones of the delivery people, where they can click the images, and on those images we show them the results with the different pieces of produce marked in green and red, so that the person who's picking up the produce picks up the only the pieces that have been marked in green and does not picks up the pieces that are marked in red. So that way they are able to provide you the fresh and non-defective produce when they're picking it up.
Sounds great. All right. So with that, I've been joined by Devendra Chandani, who is a co-founder at Intello Labs. Thanks for joining today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Scott. The pleasure's all mine.
If you've enjoyed this episode, take a moment to rate our show on any podcast platform that you listen to. Scroll down to the bottom and push 5 stars. It's that easy. And as always, thanks for listening.